A 3-1 series loss to the Baylor Bears last weekend put the Syracuse Orange back in the red. They'd won 2 straight games prior, and they've got an opportunity to get back in the winning column with a win tonight over Minnesota. They come into the contest 0-4. Welcome to Monday Night Rocket League. I'm Rowan Mastrangelo, joined by my good friend Jack Elliott. And Jack, we're approaching the part of the season where we've gathered enough data to make some sort of assumptions about these teams and how they play, what they do well, what they don't. And we've seen a lot of consistencies when it comes to the Syracuse roster.
Yeah, so Syracuse 2-3, lost to the 3 teams above them in the preseason coaches poll, and has now beaten a couple of teams that are towards the bottom of that preseason coaches poll. So sitting about where you'd expect, just given purely off of the coaches poll, and we're kind of starting to get an idea of like that might be where this team sits all year, is right towards below that top 3. You know, Baylor, in my opinion, the big dog of the PEC, going to be really tough to beat. We saw that last week. And then, you know, Syracuse lost to both Boise State and Michigan State. Now, you can make claims as to whether this Orange team has improved since then. I think they have. I think if they played them today, they would beat Boise State. But just purely based off of results, this team is right where it was supposed to be.
That's right. The Orange opened the season against 2 of the hardest competitors in the PEC. The top-seeded Boise State Broncos, who won the PEC championship last year, they fell to them 3-2. And Michigan State, who fell to that, or the Orange fell to Michigan State 3-0. So that was tough. But they're back here, looking to get back into the upper echelon of the rankings. They came in ranked 4th in the PEC, and they haven't sniffed above 500 yet this season. They've been 2-2, but they haven't had more wins than they've had losses. And at the top, it's been Baylor all year long, 5-0.
Fortunately, Syracuse now, for the rest of this semester, this half of the season, gets to take on teams that are not in those top 3. They've knocked the top 3 out of the way. They played Ohio State too, and they beat them.
They did.
So it figures to get easier from here on out for Syracuse. You know, figures to try and get back above that 500 record. Probably settle comfortably into 4th by the end of the semester.
It'd be ideal. They beat Ohio State and Utah. Next week they go up against Nebraska. And tonight, though, it's Minnesota, who came into the preseason coaches poll at 7th, and now they sit 9th. The last team, 0-4. They've won just 1 game of the best-of-5 series. So they haven't won a series, but they've won a singular game, the least in the conference. They just suffered a 3-0 sweep against Michigan State, who you saw was one of those top teams in the PEC, very strong. We're in the finals last season and are continuing that dominant presence in this conference.
And not only was it a 3-0 sweep, but it wasn't pretty either. Gave up 15 total goals across the 3 games. That's 5 on average per game, and only scored once. In their last 2 series, it's 31 total goals. If you're leaking like that at the back, it's just going to be impossible for the offense to keep up, no matter how good it is. And it's not that great.
No, you can't expect to win games if you're letting up 5 or more goals a game. It's just not feasible, like you said. And they'll have to do that against the Syracuse Orange, who have adapted to a more aggressive play style. We saw a lot of sagging back in the first 2 games and racking up the save counts. They saved 67 total goals across the first 2 games. That is a ton. That's over 6 saves a game, and that number has gone down. The strength of schedule has also decreased, but Syracuse has really put more of an emphasis on that upfield presence on the offensive end, and they've not neglected, but just spent a little less energy on the defensive end, and that's something that has advantaged them as we have gotten into this part of the schedule, but something that I think will disadvantage Minnesota, who's a team that's suffered greatly to high-power offenses.
Yeah, Syracuse is going to look to smash and grab this game. You know, score early and often and kind of put games to rest before they can even really begin. Against Baylor, Syracuse didn't even let up that many goals. Baylor is just one of the best defensive teams in the country, not even just in the PEC, in the country, and it was probably the best defensive team in the PEC. It was physical play from Baylor the whole time.
Yeah.
It never, even though the scores were close, it never really felt all that close.
No, I think Syracuse was up 1 time, aside from their Game 3 4-1 win. They were up once, and you can't expect to win when you can't command games for a third or half the length of your opponents, and that's really where we saw Syracuse suffer. It did feel like Baylor was in control the entire time, but they've got a nice reset opportunity. Sometimes you forget what it's like to win, and you get caught in bad habits, and against an opponent where you're favored and are confident about winning, you can get your play style back to work. And that all starts with this roster. One returner in Gababy and two newcomers in Tiz and Lesser. We've had these preconceived opinions and expectations, rather, of these players before the season. Gababy leading the squad, but these other two guys have come to play and really risen and held their own.
Absolutely, and it's something we talked about a couple weeks ago. Lesser, kind of was beating himself up after a performance, and since then has absolutely turned it on. So it's just been incredible to watch them develop over the last few weeks, and it's great to see. We're getting into things here now, though, Rowan. I'll toss it back over to you.
Yeah, we'll see what they do today. I'm excited, and Tiz has really been a shining star. I know you mentioned Lesser, but Tiz came into the year. Oh man, look at that! A strong start for Minnesota. 1-0, a quick goal for them.
That's not what we were expecting, is it?
It's just a bit of a defensive miscue there from the Orange. Tiz wanted a better touch off the glass, and it went right into the hands of Pye for the first goal.
Just couldn't quite get up to it.
22 seconds down, and Minnesota up 1-0. Face-off rolls to Tiz, now Orange making to make quick work of that defensive lapse. A near goal, and off the defender from Minnesota. That's going to be one for the Orange.
I mean, that's the high-powered offense that we were expecting. Gababy, a great pass from Tiz into Gababy, and just an unfortunate bounce for Minnesota. You got to say, there's not much more they could have done. It just went the right way. Put it in front of the goal mouth, that'll happen.
I think both those goals were a result of some miscues from the defensive team. But nonetheless, we've got a fresh slate, 1-1, 4 minutes, 20 seconds to play. Tiz dots it, Gababy, there it is, back of the net. 4:20 to play, Orange their first lead of the day.
And that was a 3-pass move. You see Lesser hand it off to Tiz right here. Tiz across the way to Gababy. Lesser leaves it for Gababy. That is the kind of passing that will win you games in the PEC, that will put you right near the top.
A high offensive game already, 3 goals, and we're not even a minute in. Lesser pops it back to Tiz, and he'll take the sidewall. He's got to deal with Rad with no boost, but makes a good defensive play. No one in net. It's just high enough for the Orange to exhale. 2-1.
Seemed like Gababy was a little bit confused as to where he was supposed to be there.
A pinch just gets in front of the goal mouth, but Minnesota clears it up, and now the Orange on defense. Gababy with a full boost tank, can't make contact, but Pye and Tiz collide, and that's definitely favorable for the Orange. A nice redirect from Tiz puts the ball in play for Lesser. There's one Minnesota gone. A fake in the net, it's anyone's ball. Ton of fakes from Gababy, and Tiz got a little too eager with the fakes, and the Golden Gophers were all over it that time around.
And Gababy just never quite had the angle to redirect it into the net. Maybe he had a chance on that first one, but after the first one missed, it's going to be really difficult for him to do anything.
Ball back in the orange zone. Minnesota in blue today, and Syracuse orange in there, of course, orange. Tiz directs it towards the goal. It's just wide, and Rad will put it even wider in the corner. Now it's Pye trying to get into orange territory. They've been down for 1 goal for about a minute now. Lesser gets bumped again, can't make a play on it. Tiz also just floats above, and now Alex will approach the orange net. We hit the 3-minute mark, and Lesser's taken to the skies. This is where he thrives. Oh, but he's just knocked out of the way.
He was going for that flip reset, that signature. I mean, he loves pulling that move off.
Gababy, nice redirect off the back wall. We're going to need a second touch, and that is exactly what he provides. Now Lesser sticking to the ground game after showing off his aerials. Tiz, there's one touch. Him and Rad 50. Lesser's there to make the play. Here he goes up the sidewall. Now to the ceiling. He's got a flip. 1, 2, no! Pye, good positioning. Lesser now centering pass. Pye pops it wide. Tiz drops it center. Rad gets there in time, but not before he's demolished. Some good defense from Minnesota. They're holding their own, but they need to turn defense to offense. Gababy almost didn't go for the fake, and Alex was just at the right level to make that stop.
Interesting that he didn't choose to take that to the air there. Gababy or then Alex after that. He had 40 boosts. He could have tried to make something happen. Just let it hit the ground, and Syracuse was able to recover.
Here's Rad dropping it down to Pye. He'll make the connection, but it's a soft touch. It'll give the Orange some time to respond. Tiz gets it over 1, flying towards the net. Can't drop it down, and Rad makes a solid clear. 1 minute to play. It's a 2-1 game. This score's been 2-1 for quite some time now. Here's a centering pass. No, Rad can't get it, and Alex and Tiz will 50. Ball drifting towards the Minnesota net. A redirect puts it on target, but Lesser can't follow it up. Now it's Rad and Gababy, one-on-one on the lid of the car. No, Gababy will make the stop, but Pi, opportunity, and Lesser negates it. 40 seconds to play. Syracuse maintaining their slim lead. Centering pass. Tiz can't get there in time, and we are back in the neutral zone.
I think it's fair to say this Baylor defense has been a lot stouter than we expected it to be, Rowan.
Yeah, Minnesota's really locking down the orange. Lesser, shots just wide. Would have been a nice insurance goal, but instead, Minnesota's going to start the counter. No, Gababy applying firm pressure. Rad, a good stop. Tiz will put it to the side. See what he'll do with this. Lesser has got a decent angle. No, but the Minnesotas are charging. Oh, a clutch save from Gababy. Now the orange with momentum. They'll look to ground, and Minnesota will look to extend. We'll see how it goes. Lesser drops it down, drifting towards the orange net. Rad, a redirect on target. Gababy flying up, gets it off the back wall. Scary position, but the orange have made play after play to preserve this one-goal lead, and they could get it. Yep, there it is. All right, so you thought it wasn't done. Now it's certainly over. Tiz with the insurance and put away goal.
Yeah, Tiz could have let it hit the ground right there.
He could have.
But wanted to get one last laugh on Minnesota.
I guess so. Yeah, they want a bigger win margin.
Very interesting first game, though. I expected a couple more goals given up, given how aggressive Syracuse has been and how porous Minnesota's been at the back.
Yeah, I also expected that same level of aggression that you talked about. We've seen that recently with the orange play style, and we've seen Minnesota, more importantly, give up so many goals. I mean, that's why they've lost so many games. It might seem obvious. Obviously, if you give up a lot of goals, you're going to lose the game, but their defense has just not really been on target. In terms of the orange, it was a solid performance from Gababy, 2 goals, Tiz with 1 and both assists, but at the bottom of that leaderboard, Jack.
Yeah, I'd like to highlight the play of Gababy in this game. You know, he's the captain, and oftentimes we'll see him be a little bit more, giving, as it were. You know, he'll allow teammates to get opportunities. He'll make the extra pass. This first game, though, he took command. Mm-hmm. He scored twice. Tiz also scored, but it was in garbage time. The game was over. So I'm impressed with the way that he stepped up, led the team in saves as well as goals. He was everywhere in this first match, and I'm glad to see him performing at that level.
Yeah, it's important, especially when you've got 2 new guys around you. You want to be that veteran presence. You want to set the tone as much as you can, and that's what Gababy did here. I want to see more out of Lesser. He's been in the lab so often. Every time I walk in the Shine Esports Center, Lesser is there, controller in hand, grinding away. Just 92 points that game in terms of score. I know score is not everything, but no shots, no goals, no assists, and no saves as well. So wasn't entirely as involved in the offense or defense as I would have liked him to be, and I'm sure he knows that. He's very capable, mechanically good player, and Gababy wasting no time applying the orange pressure on these Golden Gophers.
Yeah, he has come out with a vengeance today, Rowan. He wants to get this win.
There's Lesser and Alex jostling forward in the sky. Ball moving slow. Rad, there's 1. No, Gababy makes sure 2 does not come to play. That pass to Tiz was on target, but not quite on time. Pi was there to stop. Flicks up towards the net. Gababy with a great save. Rad fights off Tiz to win the 50, and Lesser will drop it down. A nice shot from Tiz. Is it on? No, just wide. Almost the first goal of the game for the orange.
It's been back and forth so far here. Things are starting to open up a little bit. Both teams played a little timid in that first game, not trying to do too much. Now they're starting to come out of their shells, as it were.
Lesser in the air, not a ton of boost, so Tiz will take over. The redirect off the sidewall, it's just short, but it bounces up, and Pi will make the play. Flips into it, gets the reset, a little more momentum on that ball, but Lesser is all over it. He's got Tiz to his left and Gababy trailing. Rad with a nice shot. It'll drop down off the ceiling, but Gababy read it to perfection. That ball rolling back into orange territory, and Gababy makes the stop, but he is demoed. A solid bump there from Tiz. Lesser will take to the skies. Near double tap. Pi gets there with speed. Gababy now, the follow-up. No, Rad there to shut it down. These Gophers are everywhere, Jack.
Yeah, I'm really impressed, by the play of Pi so far. There it is. Minnesota takes a lead, minute and a half into the game, Rowan. This isn't what we were expecting at all.
Not at all. These Golden Gophers have been shutting the orange down on defense, and they've been turning it, at least in this contest, directly to offense.
And I have to go back to what I was saying, the play of Pi so far. He has been everywhere today. Especially, Syracuse likes to play a lot of redirects. And Pi has been on that back wall, the same as Gababy has, quite frankly, shutting everything down. There's Gababy with a nice save.
That was a great save, an epic one, if you will. It was nearly in the net, but some good positioning keeps the Orange just behind 1 goal as we approach the 3-minute mark. It's Pi and Lesser battling for field position, and Rad will come up with a big hit. That puts the ball in centering position, and Alex is there, but just drops down in front of the Orange crease. And now Tiz will take to the skies, gets the reset just off the crossbar. The follow-up from Lesser, bar down, got it. We're notched at 1.
Beautiful play from Tiz through the air there. Nearly had it himself, but even still, that's a tough position to be in. And the thing I noticed there is Minnesota had a chance right before that in the other half, but nobody followed up the initial shot. There, you've got 2 Syracuse players coming in, following up the shot, getting second chance goals.
Persistent aggression leads to points, and the Orange showed that there more than ever. As we are just about halfway through, a shot on net just wide, and the bounce goes a little too high for Minnesota to capitalize on. Gababy's going to try to take advantage of the 2-on-1, gets it over 1, Tiz, bang, got it, 2-1 Orange.
Tiz just making sure that that was going to get in there. We're going to see right here whether anybody was going to be able to save that. Looked like maybe Alex would have been, or Rad would have been able to get in there, but still good for Tiz to finish that off.
Orange back in command, as I'm sure they expected to be, but Minnesota not letting up at all. Lesser with no boost can't make the double tap off the back wall. And a 50 goes in the way of Gababy. Flip reset. Oh my goodness, Rad. That was Rad. Holy.
That was a really nice save. I thought Gababy had just made one of the most beautiful soft touches like he tends to do. Oh my goodness, Alex comes in, makes 2 men miss. We're tied again, Rowan.
Look at this. Gets control. There's one, scoots it past, and Tiz just can't drop down off the ceiling. Well placed. Wow. 2-2. These are great games. 2:15 to play. Here's the faceoff. Rad in the favor of him. No boost, though, to follow it up, and Lesser will go up top. Misses the first touch and the second. Alex thought he was going to hit that one. That threw him off. But Rad will try to keep this in Syracuse's end. Tiz has got a full tank in his own corner. Gets it past Alex. No, Alex is back. Here we go. Gababy, full tank. Stuck in the crease area for Syracuse. Trying to get it out. Minnesota has kept up their aggression really all throughout this game.
And Syracuse just kind of hasn't been able to break down that defensive wall, which was, I mean, quite the opposite of what we were talking about before the game, Rowan.
Lesser gets that centering pass out of the way, but it kind of gets right back to the zone. Gababy's there to beat Pi to it. Rad will try to ground, gets it past Tiz. Gababy, full tank of boost. Alex, Tiz looking to defend. That he does, yes! Some beautiful intimidation from Tiz. Opens up the net for Gababy for the go-ahead goal.
And Gababy just knew he could have went and hit that right there, but he just kind of let it drop down, tapped it in. Good redirect and good IQ to know to let that one fall as opposed to going for the second hit.
3-2 game, just under 90 seconds to play. Lesser wins the faceoff, and he'll have to beat Pi out with the 50. Can't quite do it, as Pi and Minnesota will regain possession. They need 1 goal to tie, and if so, we'll head to overtime for the first time today. Syracuse maintains a 1-0 series lead after winning the first game with ease. 3-2, 1 minute to play about. Tiz off his own corner, can't get the redirect he would have liked, and Gababy will try to slow things down and preserve their 1-goal lead. Here we are, 60 seconds to go. Drops it down in the neutral zone. It's Tiz and Pi will come away with it. Tiz blown up 3-on-2 advantage, but to no avail. It's in the orange zone. They'll quickly bring it back to full strength. Gababy off the ceiling. Pi misreads it, just still gets a touch on it, and now it's Tiz to beat 2, and he can't. Off the sidewall, Lesser to Tiz. Back to Lesser. A shot, no. The pass to Gababy, can't get it. Tiz, no one center. He's looking to score. Off the ceiling, just wide. Such a tight angle, he couldn't quite convert. 25 seconds to go. Here's Gababy off the ceiling. Misses it. Tiz, bottom right, he got it. A huge insurance goal for Syracuse. They're up 4-2 with 21 seconds to play.
There's the selflessness from Gababy. You're going to see it right here. Uses his flip to get out of the way. Leaves it for Tiz. He sees Tiz below him and just... I mean, Tiz converts, and Syracuse hasn't quite seemed on the same page at certain points today. Right there, they definitely were.
17 seconds to go. Syracuse with a nice 2-goal lead. It's great to be in these positions, especially late in the game. 10 seconds to go, and it's in the Minnesota end. Even better for the Orange. 6 seconds now, flying through the sky, kind of fighting for it in the midfield. And off the ceiling, Syracuse, nope, can't get an extra one, and it won't matter. As soon as this ball's grounded, Syracuse will take the 2-0 series lead in the best of 5. Lesser, well, Tiz, wow, they're keeping this one afloat for quite a while. Tiz and Rad, but jostling for it. Pi out of his own goal looks to advance and get one more, Minnesota charity goal. And there we go. Drops down just in front of the orange crease, and it's a 2-0 Syracuse lead.
Some aggressiveness from Syracuse trying to come in and get a goal despite already being up. Very interesting. Gababy, yet again, leading the team, of course. Been really impressed with his play all day today.
He's been everywhere, and a lot of times we see him making his presence felt on offense, but he did it on all ends. And this one, when it started, we thought Minnesota was really gonna run away with it. Their offensive aggression was on point. They were shutting the Orange down, but then the onslaught began. Syracuse with 2 quick goals. It was then notched up, but not for long. Gababy taken to the skies. Tiz with some good intimidation for the only netminder from Minnesota, and then the insurance goal put things away. It was a solid showing. Minnesota got off to a good start, but Syracuse, it's about how you finish, and that's exactly what they did in Game 2.
Syracuse getting it done when they needed to. It hasn't been the prettiest of games. I think you'd agree with me. We expected this margin to be a bit larger, but in any event, it's still a positive result. A win is a win. You get a win in the scorebook. You'll take that, but it's just been interesting. They haven't quite seemed like they're all on the same page all the time.
No, they're a bit scattered, but that's okay. A win is a win, and Gababy's firing well. Lesser improved a pretty good amount that game, and Tiz, he's always on it. He's scored a goal in the last 3 series in every game, so that's 11 straight games with a goal for Tiz. Looking for his 12th as the countdown clock begins for Game 3. Here we go. Taking to the skies, Gababy. No, can't get the flip reset. The follow-up from Tiz is moved out of the way from Alex. And Pi will look to start the chase for Minnesota. 15 seconds, a shot just short. The follow-up got one. Lesser, no, Rad. Alex stuffs it home. There it is. Minnesota back on the board first for the 2nd straight game.
You just can't leave the ball around your goal mouth for that long, Rowan. Nobody on Syracuse really got it out, and they were punished for it. Keep in mind, though, this Syracuse team's already come back from 1-goal deficit in this series.
And they've got more time to do it. 20 seconds to play as opposed to around 3:30 in Game 2. Here's Rad. He'll go to the side. Doesn't take to the air, even though he had a good amount of boost. There's a centering pass. Alex would have had it, but a nice bump from Lesser declines the opportunity. Pi now. Gababy is ready for it, and he meets him. A 50. It's still favorable for Minnesota, but Lesser will get it over one. Oh, beautiful redirect. Yes! A nice passing play from Syracuse. This game is knotted up.
And it seemed like Lesser just kind of laid it onto the back of Gababy. Gababy didn't even have to move from where he was bumping a Minnesota defender out of the way. Just kind of let it hit him and backed into the goal.
This game even 1-1, 4:13 to play. Here's the face-off. Rad gets it, but Tiz slams it into the sidewall where Gababy is. He's flying. Flip reset, no, and Tiz can't slam it home. Pi with some beautiful positioning. That would have been big for the Orange. A nice momentum boost, but no. Gababy saves it off the top. Rad drops it down, flying high. It's Tiz towards the side. Alex gets it, and now we are back in Syracuse territory. A shot on net from Pi. It's good. Minnesota back on top.
Where is the rotation for Syracuse? There's nobody in net there. The rotations have not been sharp today for the Orange. That's why Minnesota has scored so much, and it's why they haven't been able to keep Minnesota hemmed in their own territory.
We saw a couple of these types of errors against Ohio State. Syracuse walked out with the series win, but there were a ton of double commits, and they were lucky they weren't capitalized on. It seems like Minnesota is doing a bit of a better job. Tiz now has got it with 53 boost, takes it off the ground, and Pi is there to meet him. Not a lot of boost for the Golden Gopher, but he'll make it work and stall. Give it to someone that can make it work with a lot of boost is Alex. And now that's a centering pass. Rad is up, but Tiz gets there first. Good 50 for Syracuse, and Gababy's there to meet it. Now that one is just wide of the goal. Lesser can't get to it. A contesting Pi makes it a more difficult play for the Syracuse offense. Rad centered to Alex. Full boost in the air. It's him and Lesser. Pi follows it just right, and Tiz with that touch on it puts it out of play for Rad. Minnesota will have to retreat defensively. Lesser doesn't drop it down, but it's in a shot position for Tiz. Pi will make the save, and Rad with a good touch just wide of the net Lesser, bit awkward positioning, kind of lost his flip, but got his momentum back. And Alex keeping the pressure on the orange. Pi gets it over one. Gababy centering pass inside. Tiz quickly erases it. And he'll collect that full tank and go to work. Gets it over Pi. Off the ceiling. Rad contests. Tiz off the back wall. Gababy with the follow-up opportunity. Got it! Right in the top, just above the hood of Pi. We are knotted at 2.
Syracuse needed that one for a second there. You know, Pi was absolutely controlling the game, making great passes, finding teammates, but the deficit is erased there. Syracuse, all they need is a second.
2-2 with just over half the game remaining. SU maintains a 2-0 series lead over Minnesota. If they win this one, that'll do it, and they will move to 3-3, but Minnesota really trying to eke out their first win of the season. 2:22, Rad sends it to the corner, pinches, center, Gababy keeps it along the goal line and out of play for Minnesota. Now it's Gababy on the side, misses the flip, so Lesser will take it from here, and Alex has got it. Tiz hustling back, and behind him it's Lesser who'd be next in the rotation. He'll move to offense, and Gababy will scurry back. Tiz with no boost, just looking to contribute, and that he does. Knocks it out of the way of Pi, and Rad will quickly get back to it. Gababy's responsibility now in the midfield. A good bump disrupting the orange offense. Minnesota is on it with 2 minutes to play.
Minnesota playing like they've been here before. They want to win this game. They want to knock off one of the top contenders in this PEC.
2-2, 100 seconds to go. Rad, the flip reset just wide. Lesser gets it out of the way. A near opportunity for the go-ahead Golden Gopher goal. Lesser off the, no, Gababy can't seal it, excuse me. Now it's Lesser who keeps this ball in Minnesota territory, and he'll hustle back for some boost. Pi beats one. Gababy, the shot on net is immediately met by Alex. In the neutral zone, it's Lesser to Tiz on the sidewall. He's got it. Gababy just overshoots it, and he can't get the redirect. Tiz now off the side. Gababy drops it down. And Pi in the corner. We approach 1 minute, 2-2. The next goal, as time winds down, the stakes of the next goal only rise.
And it seemed like this last offensive possession, Syracuse had a couple chances to get a couple good passes strung together. Certainly had the boost to make something happen, but just couldn't quite get the passes inch perfect onto the hood of their teammates' cars.
45 seconds to go. Rad gets it past one, but he doesn't quite have the angle. Bumps Gababy midair. This one's falling slowly. There it is! Alex, the go-ahead goal for Minnesota. A 3-2 Golden Gopher lead.
And Lesser just didn't quite have the boost. Gababy was the only one who really had any ability to defend, and a good bump takes him out of commission. Tiz was on the other side of the field.
It's a clutch play from Minnesota. Everyone working together, and now they've got a lead with just 36 seconds to spare. Lined up good for their first win, but Syracuse is going to lock in now more than ever. Here we go. Tiz with a full tank upstairs. Rad contests, but with no contact. Lesser got it, shot on net. Evens this up, 3-3, 24 seconds ago.
Even after an extended period of Minnesota dominance, all it takes is a couple seconds for this Syracuse team. They will punish you. They will lock in when they have to.
Almost an immediate response from Syracuse. They do not want to lose this game. They do not want anything less than a sweep against the 0-4 Minnesota Golden Gophers. 20 seconds to go. Might see our first overtime of the day or wrap this thing up here. Lesser looking to redirect, drops it down. Tiz just high. A near perfect passing play for Syracuse, but they can't quite convert. Now Tiz and Alex fight for it. Lesser is going to be there on his own corner. Flying towards the Minnesota zone. Gababy, a 50-50 is anyone's ball here. Tiz to Gababy. Shot on net. Got it! There it is! Walked it off! Sweep! Bring him out! Beautiful redirect from Gababy, from the feed from Tiz. Let's go home.
And it just sneaks in over the line. If it had hit the ground even an instant before it had gone in the goal, we would have gone to overtime. It would have been heartbreak, but Gababy gives it just enough to get over there.
What a shot. It could not have come closer than that. It just in front of the goal mouth, almost hit the ground. Wow, that was awesome.
A game of inches, Rowan.
It was close, and a game that was a lot closer than I think either of us expected to be. We didn't expect to go to overtime, and we didn't, but I didn't think I'd be seeing any last-second goals in the Syracuse-Minnesota game.
And a fitting end to be that close right at the very end in a game that we didn't expect to be that close, huh?
No, and it was back and forth the whole time. I don't think any team led by more than a goal. Syracuse replied, and then an open net was really taken advantage of. The physicality of Minnesota really ramped up game by game, but it just wasn't high enough here. Then Gababy evened this thing up at 2, and another open net that Minnesota took advantage of. Clock was winding down. Lesser evened it up, looking like we were going to go to overtime. Look at that, triple zeros on the clock, and Gababy said, well, that's enough time for me. I'll take the 4th and final goal. That he did. Syracuse walks out 3-0 win over Minnesota.
Gababy, who we've been highlighting all game, of course, got to be the hero.
Of course.
He was on point today.
He was on all sides of the ball, offensively and defensively. And we've seen a lot of these young guys rise up and play their roles and contribute, which is great. It's what you would